Are you someone who has been working in a different field for a couple of years now and now want to transition and change your career into UX, but are still a bit confused and unsure if you can do it, if it's possible, how to go about it, what are some of the steps, what is transferable? So in this video, I will talk about all of that and will give you a roadmap of how you should go about it. So the first step is demonstrate that you have learned the basics, right? Because without the basics you cannot actually expect to actually work in that other field, and recruiters want to know this firsthand, that if you have those core basic skills. So what you need to do is understand the tools and techniques which are used in UX methods. And although you don't need to master every UX technique out there, because there are a lot out there, you do at least need to know what you don't know, right? Because if you don't know what you don't know, then how will you learn it, right? So let me give you an example. So if you are not super capable in prototyping, right, you should be aware of what tools there are which can be used to prototype. Like there is InVision, there is Protopie. So you knowing the tools actually conveys the message that although this person doesn't know this skill at the moment, he or she has the capacity and capability to learn it later in the future. So that is very important, to know what you don't know. And there are many ways to gain UX knowledge online. I mean, there are a lot of videos out there like this one on YouTube. So go out, search, and you will be able to learn it for free. How can you show that you have gained this knowledge? There are three ways. First is through certificates, second is through your resume, and then through portfolio. Now, I am not a big fan of certificates, but what they definitely do is convey the recruiter that this person is investing in himself or herself by continuously learning new concepts, right? So if you showcase those certificates you have taken, what shows is that this person has got basic understanding of this discipline. So this is what certificates do. Then we have resumes. Resumes are super important. If you have had the opportunity to work with the UX team in some capacity, do mention it. That is a gold mine for people who want to transition, because that actually shows a road of like a bit of context of why you want to transition into this field, because you have worked with the UX team and you liked it. But if you have not worked with a UX team, you can definitely try to incorporate human-centered and user-centered aspect of UX into what you currently do. If you take an example, then a profession of testing. So if you're a tester, you can actually incorporate UX principles of being user-centered and human-centered and incorporate that in your testing processes. Then what it does is that your current experience becomes more relevant to UX, and that way if you put your current role on your resume, it is a relevant experience. The third one is portfolio. If you have completed a bootcamp or course series, do mention it and showcase those projects, especially because the best way to showcase your skills is through actually implementing them and then showing the product. Don't tell, show. This is the motto of UX. So implement all that you have learned in those bootcamps and everything, and showcase those projects and what you have achieved with them. Second step is highlight your other relevant work experience. Now you are transitioning, you will have less direct UX experience. What you can do is UX specific skills are only a part of the job, right? There are many other transferable skills which you can showcase and which you have already being done in your current job. Like a large proportion of UX person time is spent working to understand what the team needs to know, and then helping them implement changes once you have find it out. So these two things, they are not strictly exclusive to UX. These two things are there in every other role out there. So do make sure to showcase these two abilities like anywhere on your resume, on your portfolio, on your social post. Just put this message out there that you have the ability to do these two things, which are definitely transferable from your current job to a UX role. And these are some other skills that you can showcase which you are currently implementing in your current role, which are relevant to UX, like requirements gathering, designing the methodology for research studies, working with colleagues from different disciplines, understanding user customer needs, collating, summarizing, and interpreting data, presenting findings and gaining consensus, working with other team members to implement changes. All of these responsibilities, although they are not UX, but these things is what a UX professional does on a daily basis. So if you can showcase these, puts you in a very, very good light. Then we have step 3, product development awareness is a plus. Emphasis on awareness, right? You don't need programming skills for UX, period. I mean, this is a big misconception out there. You don't need to know how to code to UX. But it's great if you have experience working on a development project, which is working programmers project and product managers. It's not a must have, it's a good to have. Why it's a good to have? Because recruiters are looking for candidates who can hit the ground running, right? Familiarity with product development processes and tools like GitHub, Jira is a pretty good sign that you'll be able to fit in. Because we as product designers and UX designers, we work quite closely with devs, obviously because we are working on products which will be developed. So having a basic understanding of how these things which we are designing will be implemented is super important, because it allows us to design better first of all, and then collaborate with engineers better, right? Because you do need to understand the engineer's perspective and requirements in order to implement them. So a basic understanding of how programming and development works is super good and will make you stand out. Step 4 is build a portfolio. I cannot stress on this enough. It can be any medium. I made a separate video about this already. I'll link it somewhere here. So watch this. I've mapped out what a portfolio is, why is it important, how you can go about it, what's the mindset, everything is in this video. Watch it. So creating a portfolio can instantly set you apart from others in a similar position, but there's a chicken and egg problem. How can you showcase projects when you are just starting out, right? So this is a problem. You haven't worked in UX, so where are you supposed to source content for your portfolio? I think the best UX training programs out there are the ones which have like this aspect of creating projects, right? And some of the great ones are at Coursera. I know about the Google UX design one. There is one specialization by CalArts, California School of Arts. So all these specializations, they have projects in their syllabus. So while you're studying, you are working on something, and those projects can be displayed on your portfolio. So there are some great courses on Coursera for this reason. But remember, real world problems make much better case studies than a notional redesign of Facebook, right? Because first is it comes off as a bit arrogant, because people who have designed Facebook or any of the apps or websites out there live right now, those designers, they are not beginners. They have done their homework, they have their research team, they have context behind what they have done. I'm not saying they are always right. Maybe what you do is right, what you suggest, how you redesign may work, but it's a bit of a gray area, like, so it's better to steer clear. And what you can show instead is your ability to solve real world problems, right? Pick up a problem out there are so many. So just apply your design process on it and treat it like an actual product, and then showcase that case study. Step 5, bypass the UX job gatekeepers. What does this mean? So the level of competition for junior designers is a lot. That means that companies will prioritize applicants with better credentials. So how does that work for you? So transition into a UX role at your existing company. This is one way you can do it. The second one is get referred by someone who can vouch for your real world skills. So these are the only two ways which actually can work in your favor. First is if your current company has got a UX department, try to apply for it and get a job there. The second one is if you know someone who is working at a different company who is on a very good contact with you, and they have been following your entire journey and this transition phase, I think they can vouch for you and just get you into that interview. So the biggest thing is network. Use LinkedIn, use ADP list, get anything, talk to those professionals, get them invested in your journey, make them vouch for you, right? This is a foolproof plan, but it takes time. Then we have step 6, preparing for the interview questions of interview. So you have got the interview, the company is interested in you, and very few candidates check every box on the list, right? You need to remember this. If you have an interview scheduled, don't expect that the person interviewing you expects you to know everything in the job description. If they do, then and if you already know everything on the job description, then there's little room for you to grow. So maybe you may be overqualified, but just know that you don't have to worry about it, because what would happen is, for example, if you don't have experience working with development teams, right? So what you can do instead is say that you have multidisciplinary teams before, right? Like you have worked with people from other teams, because what they want to test is that you haven't, that not your skill of working with developers, but essentially your multidisciplinary skills. So if you don't have the thing they are asking for, tell them the next best thing, right? This is the approach you can go about it if you don't meet any requirement if they are interviewing you. And write down key points of all of that job descriptions, what things you want to talk about. And the biggest advice I can give you here is, don't just talk about that yes you do know how to do it. Answer your questions with examples of how you have implemented in the past, right? Because historical data, historical events are your best friend in your interviews, because what it does is that interviewer doesn't think that only this guy has knows how to say a lot, but what they will understand is, okay, this guy or this person has actually done this, so it actually works in your favor. And that was all. These are my 6 steps of how you can transition from whatever you are currently doing into a UX profession. It's not a single day or a week or a month process. It takes time. So what you can do in the meantime is, if you are just starting out, so start working on your portfolio, on your case studies, start networking with people who work at the company where you want to work at. For people who want to transition, who are already working in a company, first, if you have a design department in your company, try to get involved in those operations. If not, then try to network with people who are working in that department, and just make them aware of your willingness and your journey and how so just get them invested. If you don't want to work at your current company and at any other company, start networking, build relationships. In the meantime, strengthen your basics, build your portfolio, and build your brand. So this is how you can do it. I know it sounds pretty straightforward, but it will take time, so be patient and there will be success at the end. So that was all. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to stay updated on my YouTube channel. I post every week, and follow me on Instagram at shazibkazmi.design, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.